When did failing actually work out for you? I was sitting in my high school classroom staring at the board while my teacher talked about fractions. My pencil tapped against my desk, but my mind was somewhere else. I wasn't actually failing math, not yet, but I needed to look like I was. It all started with my dad's impossible standards. He was a math professor who expected nothing less than perfection. An A was the only acceptable grade, and anything less meant hours of extra work and lectures about potential and disappointment. The pressure was crushing me. Every time I brought home a test with a 96%, he'd point at the missing 4 points like they were a personal betrayal. What happened here? He'd ask, not celebrating the 96% I did get right. My older sister escaped by becoming perfect. Straight A's, science competitions, the whole deal. But I couldn't keep up, and the anxiety was making me physically sick. Some nights, I couldn't sleep just thinking about the next test. So I made a plan. I'd pretend to be terrible at math. So bad that even my dad would give up on me. I started answering questions wrong on purpose. I'd stare blankly when called on in class. I even failed a quiz deliberately, something I'd never done before. My teacher was confused. She pulled me aside and asked what was going on. I don't know, I whispered. I just don't get it anymore. The concern in her eyes made me feel guilty, but I pushed forward with my plan. When I brought home my first failing grade, my dad's face went through every stage of shock. He sat me down for hours that night, trying to explain basic concepts I already understood. I pretended to struggle, nodding slowly like I was barely keeping up. The next day, my teacher asked me to stay after class. I thought she was going to lecture me about trying harder. But instead, she said something that changed everything. I've arranged for you to take a different kind of math test tomorrow. I panicked. What if this test somehow revealed I was faking? I spent that night preparing to fail spectacularly. But this wasn't a regular math test. It was filled with strange puzzles and questions I'd never seen before. There were no formulas to memorize, just problems to solve creatively. For the first time in months, I forgot about my plan and just enjoyed the challenge. A week later, both my parents were called into a meeting with my teacher and the principal. My stomach twisted as we sat in those small plastic chairs. This was it. I'd been caught. Your son, my teacher began, has an extraordinary mathematical mind. My dad smiled proudly, but she wasn't finished. But not for the curriculum we teach. He scored in the highest percentile on a test designed to measure mathematical creativity and problem solving. Skills our standard tests don't capture. She turned her computer screen around to show them my results, comparing my failing classwork to this new assessment. He's not struggling with math, she explained. He's bored by it. The way we teach doesn't engage his particular talents. My dad's face fell as the principal suggested a different program. One focused on applied math and real-world problems instead of memorization and formulas. That night, my dad sat quietly across from me at the kitchen table. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Why didn't you tell me you were unhappy? He asked. I looked down at my hands. Because you never asked. You only cared about the grades. Something broke in his expression then. He didn't argue or lecture. He just nodded slowly. 2 weeks later, I transferred to the new program. No more anxiety attacks before tests. No more disappointing my dad with A-minuses. I started solving problems that actually mattered to me. The irony wasn't lost on me. I pretended to be bad at math to escape the pressure of being good at it. But in faking failure, I accidentally found the path to actual success. Just not the kind anyone expected.